Now, it's time for us to return to the day's newspapers. Here with me to review them this morning are the anthropologist Mariana Hotter and the journalist and author Janelle Aldred. So welcome back to you two. You're in the final straight now. This is our last review, but still loads more to get our teeth into. Marianne, you've picked out the Daily Mail's front page, which the headline is Navy probes submarine sex pests scandal. And they talk about claims of bullying and sexual harassment that have been reported. Talk us through this.
It's an astonishing set of really quite grim allegations against personnel, particularly in the submarine service, at all ranks, so very senior officers down to the kind of lowest rating. And a number of whistleblowers have come forward. So the allegations are now being investigated by the Ministry of Defence. One of the whistleblowers says that leaving the Navy was the best decision she ever made. Or the best thing that ever happened in her life, which is just extraordinarily sad, given that in 2011 the Ministry of Defence lifted the ban on women being part of submarine crews. There was this real push that our armed forces ought to be a place where the brightest, the best, the bravest are welcomed, supported in order to serve their country. It kind of perennially comes to this question: is this institutionally, culturally, a place that is, based on these allegations, dangerous for women? Or is it the kind of, well, it's just a few bad apples that need to be rooted out, but the majority of people are fine? And the kind of, I think what's important now is that we hold the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Defence, to account and say, you really do need to investigate these allegations thoroughly and be honest and transparent about what the findings are, and therefore what do you do about it? Because it's dangerous to say there's no smoke without fire, but even the Navy spokespeople have admitted that there are issues of sexual harassment that have been previously reported. And the kind of question is, if it was your daughter or if it's a young person watching this thinking about a career in the military, we really want them to go, yeah, that's a thing that offers adventure, excitement, skills, I can serve my country. They really shouldn't have to put up with sexual bullying and it harm their mental health and career and physical health.
Yeah, and Admiral Sir Ben Key, the First Sea Lord, has talked about the allegations being abhorrent. He said sexual assault and harassment has no place in the Royal Navy and will not be tolerated, and hence this investigation that's going on. And the Ministry of Defence has also said that they accept that more needs to be done, that they're improving reporting mechanisms for sexual offences. So I'm sure we'll hear more about this story as it plays out. In the meantime, Janelle, you've picked out, I know you're in the States at the moment actually, aren't you, but a story that's really shocked people. And this is the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband. It's featured here in The Guardian.
Yeah, I think the divisiveness of politics is front and centre in everyone's minds, not just here, but also in the UK. And this attack, the man had been online looking at all kinds of conspiracy theories. We know that all this stuff is going on with Donald Trump at the moment, with the FBI and all those different things. But I think it's just to show how violent this attack was. With a hammer, he was looking for Nancy Pelosi, and she wasn't home at the time. And I think it's just really worrying the state that politics is in. Before, there used to be a sense of people disagreeing, but reaching out across the aisle, so to speak, and working with the other side. And I think that really is disappearing from politics. I think the temperature is really high at the moment, both over there and over here. We've seen it too, to devastating consequences. And I think that politicians, as well as all of us, I think we need to think about how we are. I'm not saying it's anyone's fault that this happened to them in particular, but I think as a general cultural consensus that we need to think about how we lower the temperature to lower the risk for politicians.
Well, yes, and we should say that, of course, that we don't know all the circumstances around this attack, and it's just been reported that he shouted, "Where's Nancy?" But certainly worrying and concerns for her husband. And if we get updates on how he's doing, we'll of course bring them to everybody. Let's move on though, Marianne, to the Express now. There's a double-page spread here that focuses on how Rishi Sunak wants to do a deal with France over migrants.
One of the things about Rishi Sunak becoming the Prime Minister is that there is then potential and hope for an easing, a smoothing, a warming up of our relations with France over the issue of small boat crossings over the English Channel. So far this year, 38,000 people have tried to cross or have successfully crossed the English Channel. Many more have been turned back. Around more than 25,000 people have been sort of turned back. And fundamentally, it's just untenable. It's untenable for the poor people in the boats who risk drowning. It fuels organised crime, these people traffickers, and obviously the UK and France have to work together as collaborative partners in finding a solution. It can't be about throwing blame and responsibility at each other over the water.
Well, yes, exactly. So, sorry, I thought you'd finished. Sorry, Marianne, go on, finish off what you're saying.
And then the Inspector of Borders assessed the Manston camp in Kent. It's designed. It was designed to house 1,000 people temporarily. It's currently got 2,600 people there, and the inspector described the circumstances that they're being kept in as wretched, and that's it sounds a little bit Victorian, and I suspect that the conditions are people are sleeping on camping mats for more than a month. There was an outbreak of diphtheria. This really is sort of Victorian stuff, and fundamentally, I think we need to hold the Home Office to account. We've had a kind of failing Home Secretary for so long, and the blame gets deflected onto the victims of these people traffickers and the people who are potentially putting their lives at risk. Now, yes, some of the people are trying to play the system, but the system needs to work in order to efficiently deal with people who are genuinely refugees and deal with the people who are, chancing it. If you're waiting for more than 480 days an initial assessment, it doesn't work for anybody.
Okay, I'm just going to rush you there. I'm sorry to cut in, but we're just going to squeeze in one more story with Janelle. You've picked out the publication, which in the future, of Harry's memoir. I think is it January it's coming out? I can't remember what the date is now.
Yeah, I think he's gone for January 10th, I think is the date. And this comes along with the announcement of Prince Charles taking over the ceremonial role that he was holding up until 2021. It's really interesting. I find all of this, the narrative around this, so interesting. They've all written books. King Charles was known to work on a book with Jonathan Dimbleby in 1994. He criticised his dad for basically an arranged marriage with Princess Diana, who also wrote her memoirs. Sarah Ferguson, who is living in one of the palaces with her former husband, the Duke of York, has also written a memoir criticising the royal family. It's not new. He wants to have his say. I think he should have it.
Okay, and he will, I'm sure, and I'm sure a lot of people will read it as well. Anyway, Janelle and Marianne, always good to have